Welcome to Accio Politics, a Harry Potter reread podcast focusing on the politics of the series. I'm Adri, one of your hosts, a recovering English major, and I'm now on an Airbnb staycation thanks to COVID-19, celebrating my favorite person's birthday.
It's not my birthday.
My other favorite person.
Oh,
you know, the one I'm married to.
I was about to say,
guy.
it's not my birthday either.
Yeah, like, what is she doing here? Who's this favorite person she speaks of?
You know, the person I pledged my life to? You know, no big deal.
Yes, that one.
Happy birthday, Seth!
Yes, definitely happy birthday, Seth. I'm Helene, your co-host, producer, and potentially person cursed with perpetual bad luck. So I'm sorry if I angered any powerful magical beings who are taking their revenge out on me, because I think I have.
I feel like much like the gods of Olympus in the Percy Jackson series, they're only taking it out on you because you're so powerful. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they're jealous. It's
all about jealousy.
They're threatened. They're threatened by my power.
Or like Snape giving Harry a D. You know, like you not.
See, I don't play about the Fae, so I'm gonna stay out of it. Adri, don't you pulling. Nope. I don't play about who.
Yeah, I think like the damage is already done to me. So what else is? How much worse can I? Oh, I shouldn't say that.
No, you shouldn't.
I was about to say you better keep that energy all the way over there.
We are just like lots of very superstitious people just tempting the fates right now. Sorry, fates.
We love you.
Well, I'm Alex, Real Housewives of Spider-Man fan, respectful admirer of the Fae folk, resident Enneagram 4, and as per Ravenclaw tradition, riddle maker and solver. Today we'll be covering chapter 15 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, the Hogwarts High Inquisitor. I really love it that you guys gave me this part right now because I put on my best teacher voice. Like, here's what we're going to do today, class.
Well, for those who forgot about what this chapter is, this is the one where Umbridge becomes High Inquisitor at Hogwarts, hence the title of the chapter, and inspects lessons while Harry doesn't even try to stop pissing her off long enough to avoid getting more detention.
It's because, you know, Harry, much like myself, has a touch of ADHD. You know what I mean?
And a rebel streak, 100%.
Well, you know, that comes with the...
Actually, I think Harry is a rebel with like a non-rebel streak. I think is probably what it is.
Rebel
I think he was just giving off some huge fuck you energy. And
true.
If he's directing it Umbridge's way, I'm in support.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Yep. I can get behind it.
Well, and this is a time where we would all like to thank and welcome our newest patron, Katie. Also, thank you to all our patrons who make this podcast possible. I threw that in for you, Helene.
Of course you did. Yep.
Now, if you, like Katie and our other patrons, would like bonus content and help keep this podcast going, you can head over to patreon.com/AccioPolitics and choose your tier. $2 a month will get you access to bonus content for every episode, and other tiers will get you that plus physical rewards every 3 months. Okay, Alex, what bonus content do we have for our patrons today? Use your teacher voice, please.
Today's Patreon exclusive content is a continuation of our Girl Who Lives series. Today, we'll be covering Professor Snape. What would the series look like if Snape had been a woman? Both if the entire cast of characters were gender flipped and if only this character were gender flipped.
But before we get into today's chapter, it's time for our Potter Watch segment where we discuss some of the latest news in the United States.
1 second. This stupid thing. Okay. All right, Potter Watch, what the ministry doesn't want you to know. What are we covering today, guys?
COVID, and Trump, and more COVID, and more Trump, and COVID.
Yay!
Sounds about right.
Can't wait. So our first story comes from CNN. Just, telling us what we already know, that COVID isn't going away anytime soon. So please wear a mask. Also, Rudy Giuliani isn't just dripping hair dye and farting all over the place. He's also got COVID. And he's been in contact with a ton of people, maskless. And also those people have been maskless. So one could say they're kind of asking for it, but I'm really worried about other people who might come in contact with them. Like, family members who may not deserve this fate.
I mean,
I just don't know what else to say.
It's just, like, what else can we really say about it at this point?
I mean, like back in August, I made these plans to like stay in this Airbnb for Seth's birthday, and I was like, maybe COVID by then will be like under control, and we can maybe do some activities in Austin, like activities. And here I am.
The elusive activity.
Exactly. All these not left the house. So we went from like one house to another, and it's been great because it's a change of scenery, even if we're still indoors.
Yeah, I mean,
and, like,
I'm at least grateful. Yeah, I'm at least grateful that I was able to. I quarantined for 2 weeks and then drove straight 5.5 hours straight to my parents' house so that I could spend the week of Thanksgiving with them. So I'm grateful that I was able to like do everything necessary to be safe and keep my parents safe since they're high risk, and do that and see them, because I hadn't seen them in a year, and it was my dad's birthday, and Thanksgiving is like our holiday. And so I got a test beforehand after quarantining for 2 weeks. And it's possible if you keep safe and do everything you possibly can to make sure that you're not endangering yourself or other people. Like, it is possible to do things if you really set your mind to it and make a resolution to be the safest that you possibly can be. It's possible.
Yeah, I just don't trust, people in the real world.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, like, I literally did not stop to go to the bathroom the entire 5.5 hour drive on the way there, because I wasn't going to risk getting it when I was going to the bathroom at a gas station on the way in Iowa, of all places, where their positivity rate is like ridiculously high.
Yeah, so we just, it's nice to be outside the house. We just traded one house for another, basically.
Yeah, but change of scenery is definitely good for your mental health.
Yeah. And we got their babies, so the fur babies are with us, so that's nice. But still, it would have been nice if we could have gone out. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I honestly just today received some just terrible news.
Oh no.
And, content warning for those of us who have already lost people to COVID. But my school, for those of you that have been following the podcast, know that I teach 9th grade. We lost our director of special education.
Oh no.
Yesterday. And it's, by not saying it, it's saying it. And I had to remind myself, like, while I would love to be able to be doing the things that, I would usually do in my downtime. There are people out here catching COVID doing the things that they need to do to survive.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I can't keep, even the smallest things of, oh, I'm gonna go see a friend to keep my sanity in check, or, oh, I'm gonna, run out for food because I'm tired of cooking, or, like, I've really started to tighten up on my habits. Not that I wasn't before, but it's, my sympathy and my patience for people that are going out here living their lives frivolously, when there are people that are out, like, she was still doing home visits to students. She was still trying to make sure that the kids were receiving their computers and their lessons and their accommodations and food and coats for the winter. And I don't know any other. I'm running out of ways to humanize the issue without calling people monsters. And at this point, if you're just out here living your life like COVID doesn't exist, you're a monster to me.
Well, hopefully soon, when we get under this new administration, I really do hope to see things improve and change. So we'll see. It's not going to take back all the lives that were lost under Trump. And, I mean, it's crazy because I see these memes where it's like, we lost more people today in the United States than we did during 9/11, or we lost more people today in the United States to COVID than we did at Pearl Harbor. Like, these are huge tragedies that we have been, observing remembrance of for years and years and years. And we're losing more people a day in this country than we did at these huge events. And it's crazy. It's insane.
It is.
Yeah. America's got anyway, yeah.
We don't want to, I mean, we don't want to depress people. I mean, it's sad, but.
Yeah, but I mean, our next news item is also really sad because the Trump administration's bloodthirst doesn't just end with letting a ton of people die of COVID. They also keep pushing executions and death penalty cases, even cases like Brandon Bernard's, which is under question, and in which a lot of the jurors in that original case do not, have changed their minds about it because he wasn't even like the person, doing the crime. And I believe that this administration has been setting record numbers of inmates that they've killed using the federal death penalty.
And then he's over there also, giving pardons to all of his friends. He's doing this on the left and, that on the right. It's crazy.
But also, America is infamous for our doctrine of prisoners are no longer people.
Mm-hmm.
And prisoners are especially inhumane if they cannot pull a profit. So, just like with everything else that doesn't make money, what does America do? They kill it.
Well, we have 25% of the entire world's prisoner population. So we love to put people in prison.
America's got a lot of things wrong with it.
Just little fixes here and there. Just, minor fixes.
Yeah. Do you think that one of those minor fixes could be maybe not breaking into people's homes and pointing guns in their family members' faces? I have been following the investigation of Rebecca Jones, or let me put some respect on her name, Dr. Rebecca Jones, who thank the Lord for all of us, is blowing the whistle on Governor DeSantis and his not even subtle attempts at covering up Florida's COVID numbers, to the point where he basically, like, they're saying that somebody leaked on their Amber Alert service the number of people in Florida that were dying from COVID, and they tracked it to her IP address, which means that they could kick open her door and point guns at her husband and her 2-year-old.
Wow.
While they basically raided her home.
Oh, wow.
Because not only did they need to steal the information that she, by law, could give to the public now that she is no longer a, legal medical professional, because she was mysteriously fired for insubordination at the Department of Health. Keyword, she discovered some shit and blew the whistle on it. And now DeSantis is acting like he's never even heard her name before, which I'm like...
I mean, that's why a lot of whistleblowers tend to stay anonymous for reasons like this. I mean, it's not something that should continue for sure, but
and
there's always that risk.
But her casual disdain for everything going on in Florida is what really drove me to continue, like, following along with her story. Because firstly, she was like, these messages are not even grammatically correct, and they have fully underestimated the number of people that have died. She was like, I would not round down on another 430 people. And I was like, holy shit. One, yes, if I'm going to be arrested for something, I'm going to be like, yep, that, I'm going to make sure that it even sounds like me. And two, as a scientist, I'm going to make sure that information is correct. Like, yes, absolutely badass. But what I'm really excited for is that she was like, I'm going to sue y'all and I'm going to win.
Gotta love a strong female, powerful woman. You gotta love a strong woman.
I mean, and I love doing the "you about to lose your job" dance. So can't wait to hit it.
Just all these crimers criming everywhere,
On one side of the aisle too, it's like people give Democrats a whole bunch of shit, but
like, if people are out there just doing crimes in, like, broad daylight, just chilling.
Just crimes and vibes. Just vibes. No cover up. No alibi. Just vibes.
Yeah, just like a real Dolores Umbridge vibe to this.
Oh, please. Let's get it cracking. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Speaking of criming, right?
Yes.
Very Dolores. All right, so now let's move on to our Hogwarts debate club, where we've been kind of out of practice for a couple of weeks, guys.
Oh, I've been ready for this one.
Oh, I know you're ready. I'm not, but it's okay.
We'll see how it goes.
And I haven't won one in a while, so I'm hoping to take this one home. I'm hoping this will be an easy dub.
All right. Well, you're...
This is the problem. You're raising expectations. You should lower expectations so that if you do really well, people will be like, oh, like, that was better than I expected. And then they'll give you a lot more credit.
The teacher in me does not.
All right. Okay, Alex, it's your turn first anyway. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
We got
All right,
SpongeBob over here.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Educational inequity. In a move that is only rivaled by Betsy DeVos herself, Fudge pulls a Trumpian move and apps an unqualified yet syncopathic white woman to a position to which she is not qualified. Drunk with power and audacity only made capable by privilege and position, Umbridge runs about Hogwarts unchecked, pulling stunts that would have gotten any sane teacher arrested or worse, fired without severance pay.
I thought you were going to say arrested or worse, expelled. I definitely thought you were going to be like arrested or worse, expelled.
I love it.
I thought about it, but I was like, I need something teacher appropriate.
Yeah, that's fine. It's the first thing my mind went to. Oh, that's hilarious. That was good. Good job.
All right.
I think that's the first time I've ever beat Joe, too.
Ever beat Joe. Okay.
Colleen, are you ready?
I am ready.
3, 2, 1.
My politic is the politics of martial law. Umbridge, with the help of the Ministry and their passing of new legislation for their own personal gain, imposes new and unprecedented governmental power over Hogwarts. Education is not normally federally controlled, and the Ministry stepping in and taking power away from Dumbledore in an attempt to control the narrative and spend their own agenda is an example of martial law outside of the context of the military. Martial law is defined as the imposition of direct military control of normal civil functions or suspension of civil law by a government.
Will you shut up, man?
You got it.
That's pretty well timed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You are like right there with Joe.
Yes, Joe and I are on the same wavelength. He's actually thinking of appointing me to his cabinet. It's fine.
Oh, no big deal.
Yeah, NBD. I don't know what I was gonna say. I don't know what position. I would be in charge of the Department of Harry Potter.
What does that entail?
It entails reading Harry Potter. It's a really important department in the government, okay?
And I imagine that
I'm in control of making sure that our government doesn't turn into the Ministry of Magic in Book 5. That's my one job, is to make sure that we don't follow Fudge's example.
So are you like screening everyone for potential Umbridgeness? So like there's a levels of Umbridgeness?
Umbridge potential. Yes.
Okay. I
Yep.
see you.
Yep. Catch me on the cabinet.
Well, but I feel like that position is so important that it will remain top secret.
That's true. That's why you haven't heard of it, guys.
Okay.
And you will never hear of it being, because I mean, it's kind of like just so covert, you know? You're like a special Harry Potter advisor to the president.
Oh my God, that's the best name that I could have thought of for that.
Cool.
You're welcome. I just came up with it. Cleo helped me. She's my podcast helper today.
Thanks, Cleo.
And you know, you're so qualified for that, so I don't have to call you an unqualified white woman behind your back.
That's true. I mean, it's probably the only thing in the cabinet that I am qualified.
Okay, Alex, like you would do that behind her back. You would probably do it to her face.
You would call me out. Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
And that's why we love you.
But you've got the perfect position. Speaking of perfect positions, can we get in depth to where like, wait?
Oh, I'm sorry, but I have not gone yet.
Oh, you gotta go. You gotta go so we can get to my girl. Okay, come on, chop chop.
Okay, well, I am chopped liver is what I am, apparently. Okay. My politic is the politic of legislative overreach. The Ministry of Magic Fudge throws in some last minute legislation that gives the ministry control over Hogwarts, which has not historically been controlled by the ministry at this point. Hogwarts has been a traditional separation between church and state, Hogwarts being the church in here. So it is an overreach of the legislature to try to control Hogwarts via Umbridge.
Will you shut
Yeah.
up, man?
The end.
Yeah. All right, I think our politics are pretty similar, guys.
Kind of.
Yeah, I think we just kind of all took them from the perspectives of like where we are in our lives right now. You know what I mean? Like,
I'd like for you to connect mine to where I am at life right now.
Adri, you're always talking about the government overreaching. This is not brand new for you.
I mean, God, like it's a politics, but like I don't make laws.
No,
I just
don't.
criticize them.
Exactly. And to find, never mind, I'm not going to out you on this app.
What?
She's never broken any laws, folks. Just how people say like they get sick of like one podcaster talking about one thing, or like I feel as if we are moving into a space where people are going to be sick of me talking about unqualified white women. And yeah,
I mean, you can also talk about unqualified white men because I also have experience with that.
I'm gonna get to Fudge somewhere down the road. Like his time is coming in this novel. But
I mean, arguably, it was always his time.
but focusing on the chapter at hand. As a teacher, there's hardly few things more annoying than somebody who's not a teacher telling you how to teach.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And not even.
I mean, that's probably true for most professions, you know.
I was going to say, I've encountered this in many professions, but go ahead.
But it's with Umbridge, it's like a whole nother level of audacity. And now that I think about it too, the Harry Potter series as a whole, and I know a lot of it was done for plot points. A lot of it was done because Hogwarts is the main setting of the saga, the series. But the absolute assumption that just any old Joe off the street can go teach young children, runs rampant throughout the entire series.
But isn't that like, I mean, I'm not saying that that's a false assumption, but it's an assumption that a lot of people have.
Oh, yeah,
like,
no.
In the real world. And that makes me even angrier.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, this year especially, but I've found like after like year 2 of teaching, maybe around year 3 when you hit that sweet spot, I started telling people I don't want to talk about education like before they could even get started. Like, do not unprompt me about education. Like, unless I ask for advice or unless I bring up the fact that I am a teacher, I don't want to talk about it.
Well, it's just a very unfortunate societal assumption that like maybe, well, not maybe, it is because our teachers are underpaid, that people believe that because it's a low-paying job that just anyone can do, which could not be further.
Oh no, you got to have respect for teachers. I will say, well, first of all, I think that it's essential to know, like, if you know a teacher, like, personally, you have a much deeper understanding of what actually goes into it. In terms of Harry Potter and, Defense Against Dark Arts and all of that stuff, in Dumbledore's defense, which is something, I do often.
Really? I hadn't
Really?
noticed.
Yeah, it's crazy. In Dumbledore's
It's
defense.
almost like you love Dumbledore and hate Ron Weasley.
Yeah, it's almost like, I defend my problematic fave. But really, in his defense, like, I think he would have definitely chosen teachers that were qualified if he had the chance, but the position is cursed and it's hard to find someone new every single year, and I feel like he just has to kind of deal with what he can get, because I don't think people are clambering all over themselves to get that job.
Except Snape.
Who ain't gonna get it. But then what do you do? Then he would have to, find someone to do the potions. So, I mean,
which is really weird because Hogwarts is technically a private school, and most teachers would love a position, especially like room and board, free meals, healthcare, an extended.
I don't know about the healthcare of the wizarding world, girl.
I mean, I trust Madame Pomfrey. I don't think I'd.
But I'm not sure they come with like good healthcare benefits, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. But I mean,
being a teacher is literally one of like the 3 known professions in the wizarding world.
Yeah, and
what are you gonna do? You're gonna work in the ministry. Like you're gonna be an order.
Like it's the houses, right?
But
you're either going to stay at home parent, a teacher, work at the ministry, or open your own shop. That's it. It's 4 houses, 4 professions. That's it.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the main reasons why, even with the cursed position, you still had a bunch of walk-ons that were like, well, how hard could this be?
I know. The first one I think of is Lockhart, for sure.
Oh, for sure. For sure. He logic, like, and this almost is like my favorite peak white man, like, archetype. Literally builds a career literally stealing the accomplishments of other people.
Yep.
Writes books about stealing those accomplishments and teaches a class on his scams after the children have bought his books for profit.
Yeah. He's peak lazy white man, that's for sure.
I mean, he'd be a master criminal if he hadn't gotten caught.
He was a master criminal. I'm pretty sure all that he was doing was crimes.
He was just, conning everyone.
Should have gone to Azkaban. If he wasn't in St. Mungo's, he'd be in Azkaban.
Like a long-range con. And you can't tell me that Dumbledore didn't set him up for that, but at the same time, Lockhart is a product of his environment.
Oh, totally. I think sometimes the choices that Dumbledore makes for teachers, when he can't find a good candidate, he's probably just like, I kind of am interested to see how this works out. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. He's just like, I wonder, this could be an interesting...
This is an experiment.
Yeah, let's just experiment. I was just going to say, it could be an interesting experiment of let's give this close up or not. But if I add this one leaf, will it blow up?
But the hypocrisy of it is that the ministry thought that they were going to do a better job, and they ended up doing worse.
So wait, my question for you then, K. Alex, is what is worse? Someone who can't teach, pretending they know how to teach, or someone who doesn't know how to teach and can't teach, judging other teachers on how they teach.
Oh, definitely plan B, because in plan A, most people, even if you were to bring in the most, I won't maybe not boring, but like the most ordinary person, if you told them, hey, I want you to be a guest lecturer in my class for 45 minutes, they're going to find something to talk about.
Instead of being like, hey guys, open your book and read the next chapter and stay quiet, please.
Yeah. Like,
I hate that kind of teaching because it's not teaching.
No. And it's
What are you talking about? That's what Umbridge does. It's totally teaching.
And it's somebody who has been on both sides of the scale. Like, I have definitely said, hey, like, I'm having a really crappy day today. I need you to read chapter 5.
Oh, no, that's different. Like, you're not doing that every day.
Oh, no. And especially not without talking about the material. Like, the other underlying unqualifiers of, or the markers of a bad teacher, is one that does not want to be questioned by their students. And the fact that the ministry just automatically thought that they knew best and automatically thought that Umbridge would do what was best. It's like,
because she's a yes woman, right? Like, so that's why they're like, of course she's got our best interest at heart. And like, you could see that every time Hermione or Harry poses a question to her, she like seethes with rage because she is a yes woman to Fudge, and she thinks of respect as just saying yes and doing the thing.
Yeah, and you also see throughout this chapter that while every teacher has their own like pros and cons to their teaching style, Umbridge stands out for the pure fact that she believes that her way is the way. You know what I'm saying? So like, even with Snape, with his like bullying and abuse, we see later on throughout the series that even he questioned the educational process of Hogwarts, and he made his own way into becoming a master potioneer. And like, that might be the one thing that I respect about Severus Snape. He saw that there was a better way to do something, and he did it. Does that mean I'm defending Snape's BS? Absolutely the fuck not. He's not a great teacher either. No matter the way other people try to pull it or say so. And which is a shame, because potions, if he hadn't been so obsessed with trying to be the defense against the dark arts teacher, potions might have turned out to be a really great class.
Well, see, that's the thing. I think that Snape is an example of someone who like, you can be good at a thing and not really necessarily be good at teaching other people to be good at the thing.
Well, yeah, because also when we think about our age range of students, 11 to 17, it's not just about the material, it's about the relationships that you have with the students.
Yeah, I mean, like Snape, all he does is he writes something on the board and tells people to do it perfectly, but doesn't give them the tools to do that.
Well, it's the same with Umbridge, right? Like, you don't see her interacting with the students.
And Snape uses the students' mistakes as a point for abuse rather than a learning opportunity. Like when Neville has a potion that's the wrong color, or
Hey, Alex,
Huh?
you cut out.
Sorry, yeah, you cut out in the middle of a word, and so I don't exactly.
Oh,
You cut out for like 5 seconds.
I said when Snape treats his students' mistakes as points for abuse
Yeah.
or signs of inadequacy instead of being a real teacher and turning them into learning opportunities.
Yeah, well, yeah, Snape he utilizes negative reinforcement instead of positive reinforcement. That's for dang sure.
Yeah, except he's not getting any positive things out of it.
Doesn't work as well, especially for kids. Kids need positive reinforcement.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Kids need to be told nice things.
Yeah, reward them when they're doing something good, and don't exactly and like punish them when they're doing something bad, but don't always punish them every single time they do something bad, because that's just gonna discourage them from wanting to learn how to do things well.
Now I'm gonna have to rethink my whole philosophy on dealing with people.
I know, right? It's actually something I've had to do with my cats a lot too, because cats actually like dogs can learn from negative reinforcement, but cats literally can't. Like it's not possible for them to work. So like they can literally only learn from positive reinforcement. So if you want to train a cat, there's a little tip.
I don't know. I have a chihuahua for you that does not learn from negative reinforcement.
So like if you look at a cat and they're doing something and you yell, "No, don't do that." Like, or you I don't know, you like, smack them, which you shouldn't do anyway, or like spray them with water or something like that. Like they will just not understand. But dogs, maybe.
I've got a defiant chihuahua that says otherwise. Her name is Emmy, and she is the queen of this house.
Wow. I think that sounds like a spoiling problem.
Oh, talk to her father about that, because it's not me.
Oh, goodness.
But the point of no return is when Umbridge is physically abusing Harry.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It thoroughly disgusts me as a kid. It thoroughly disgusts me as a teacher. And I'm really disappointed in all the people, particularly Hermione and Ron, who usually make it their point to have Harry's quote unquote best interest at heart, and they allowed Harry to talk them out of reporting Umbridge.
But they're also just kids. Like really, the people here at fault is the adult who has the power.
No, and I'm gonna push back on this, because as somebody who teaches high school, you get to a point where the kids know when they're snitching or tattletelling, and when they're blowing the whistle for a friend's interest. And this was
but at the same, I don't know. At the same time, I think
we're talking about this. We're talking about the same Hermione.
But to put the onus on those kids is almost like saying, like, well, victims of any kind of abuse, or the people who know about the abuse should be the ones to notify the authorities, instead of putting the fault where it lies, which is with the perpetrator of the abuse.
No. I definitely get that, but also too, like, in teaching is called being a mandated reporter, and because teachers can only we're not only demanded that we report exactly what we see, but we're also it's also stated in our contracts that we report allegations as well. So
yeah, but you're the adult, right? So like in this situation, Hermione and Ron are not the adults.
I know that, and let me finish. What I'm saying is that there were other instances, though, where both Hermione and Ron stepped into Harry's defense or stepped in out of their best interest, even on allegations. We're talking about the same Hermione that got Harry's firebolt stripped because she was afraid that it might have been hexed or jinxed or something bad might have happened to it.
Yeah, but then Hogwarts wasn't in control of the ministry, and there wasn't like an active campaign against Harry.
I think that what we need to think about is like,
I just think the stakes are different this time.
I think we need to like consider why Hermione and Ron might not be telling, because Harry doesn't want to tell some people because he doesn't think that they'd be able to do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think Ron and Hermione have been convinced of the same thing, that we shouldn't tell anybody because no one's going to be able to do anything about it? Or are they not?
That's what I mean by the stakes being different this time, because the Hogwarts they knew is not the same right now.
No, and yeah, and you're right about that, but I also think that.
Well, and I also think, okay, Alex, to your point, like, yeah, Hermione and Ron have like sounded the alarm before, but they are also older and know that sounding the alarm comes with consequences. And some of those consequences may not be what they intended to happen. So if they speak out, the punishments towards Harry could even become worse, or nothing could happen. Like they know enough now to know that even though speaking out is a powerful act, it also comes with consequences that you can sometimes not foresee or control.
You're right, but I also think, though, especially in the canon of it, Harry's only legitimate excuse was if McGonagall does something about it and you think that the ministry wouldn't fire her. And I totally stand on this. I think I would debate anybody on this. I think McGonagall would rather be fired and penniless than to see something truly dangerous happen to any one of her kids.
But then do the kids want that to be on them? Like, yeah, it's McGonagall might be okay with it, but do they want to be the reason that McGonagall loses their
just
job?
Just like Adri said, that is not for a child to worry about.
I think, honestly, if anything, we should be questioning why other teachers are not catching on to this, other adults. Because it's not like, I mean...
Well, the real question is, too, and again, like, being in typically I'm in a building with over 400 high schoolers, and that's on the smaller side because I work in a charter school, but because we also live in a middle school, and we live in a middle school, I'm in a building with almost over 1,000 kids. No one adult is going to catch everything. What really needs to be the question, though, is that why was the Ministry of Magic allowed to basically have one entity not only be judge, but also be the jury on what makes a good teacher, while also being a heinous monster while teaching?
Yeah, I agree with that. But that's what I'm saying. Like, the stakes are very, very different in this book, and it just keeps getting worse and worse for them.
And the fact that those heinous teaching practices went unchecked for basically an entire school year is a huge issue. And I think, too, and because I've seen students rally together to have a teacher fired. And I've seen students rally together to demand equity and justice.
But you also have to think about the environment of Hogwarts wasn't like punishment like nixed either before Umbridge. Like we had people like Filch who were, doing abusive things to students in the name of like detention or punishment or dangerous
Yeah, but
things.
it's
So it's not like the environment of
to me
Hogwarts
though,
was just like
Filch is a sign of prejudice and prejudice and neglect, and he's almost kind of taken for a joke because he really has no power. And we see in future chapters that he thrives off of Umbridge's presence because her physical abuse is something that he endorses, and she relies on him to be another enforcement of that power.
But what I'm trying to say is that that this doesn't happen in a vacuum. The reason she's able to get
like
away with this is because
Malfoy.
I mean, the reason she's able to get away with this is because that environment was already primed for that level of abuse. I mean, if you think about it, like politically, right? Like just because we hadn't had a president like, the one that's leaving office who has like basically destroyed all our norms and like passed through all, he's like, they're just norms, they're not laws. I don't have to abide by them. Like just because we hadn't had one before and we had people who observed norms doesn't mean that the environment wasn't rich for that to happen. So
no,
so that's what I mean. Like, it's not like Hogwarts was like a hippy dippy school without like any physical punishment or put students in dangerous situations to punish them or do a lot of manual physical labor aspects.
I don't know, I've been sitting on it for a little bit, but I think that it's possible that Ron and Hermione might not have reported this because they see it as respecting Harry's decision and
like his consent, maybe,
and believing that he is making the choice that he thinks is best for him. And if he doesn't want to report it, then they're not going to step on outside of that and do it for him, and just respecting Harry in that. And I know that that's not exact, like if we're talking about in the allegory of, actually like physical abuse, which I mean, this is physical abuse, but like maybe if you're friends with a victim of abuse and they say, please don't report it, probably best to do what's going to be in their best interest. But I don't know. I think that it's a complicated, nuanced situation in a fictional world where we can't really know their motivations or ask them. So
reporting abuse is often complicated, even if you are the victim.
No, for sure, especially for somebody like Harry, who is a perpetual
victim of abuse.
I mean, there was nobody to stop or report the Dursleys. And even as the series goes on and we see that there were people who could have stopped and reported the Dursleys but didn't, it's kind of like, well, Harry has continually been surrounded by people who could have but did not do anything, so why would he expect this time to be any different? Which I think would have been a very key moment for Harry to finally be introduced to someone who would have been who needed to blow the whistle, who would have been like, fuck that, I'm reporting this, and we're we're going to get through this together because this shit's ridiculous.
Well, I think we should move on to a different part of the chapter because, I think really good points have been made on both sides. And listeners, if you have a thought on this, we want to hear it. Send it in, aciopolitics@gmail.com, at aciopolitics on Instagram and Twitter. Please let us know. But I think we should move on because a couple of really good quotes happen in this chapter that I wanted to make sure we talked about.
Go ahead and show off with your quote.
We get the iconic scene of McGonagall and Umbridge, and Umbridge trying to interrupt McGonagall, and McGonagall just not fucking having it. It's great. And of course, we get the line from McGonagall where she says, "I do not generally permit people to talk when I am talking." And I don't know about you guys, but immediately that gif of Kamala Harris saying, "I'm speaking," popped into my head. And I just want to make the case that Kamala Harris is McGonagall and McGonagall is Kamala Harris. And
big McGonagall energy with Kamala there.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, shameless plug, but on blackgirlscreate.org, I wrote a pretty insane article about how Minerva McGonagall is one of my highest teacher goals. And I write out a pretty comprehensive list of all the badass things that she did throughout the 7 chapters. 7 chapters, Lord. 7 books as a teacher. Not just as a member of the order, but literally just as the head of house and transfiguration teacher, which is literally her job description. And we see this here. McGonagall has an engaging yet standard aligned lesson. She encourages the students with both verbal and nonverbal cues. She sets the standard on discipline and behavior. And she's witty to boot. Like, what's there not to love? Like,
she's amazing. Yeah.
10 out of 10 would absolutely recommend. Like,
and that's like a big reason why she is a lot of people's favorite character. So
yeah, I really just my goal in life is to become Minerva McGonagall. That's it.
Yeah, she's teacher goals. That's for dang sure. If I were
I mean, she's epic teacher goals.
Well, no, I just meant like in real life, period. Like not just as like I'm not teaching, so I'm like I just want to be as badass. That's all I want.
That's true.
Period.
Yeah, and then there was one other quote that I pulled from the chapter that I just wanted to point out because it directly supports my politic.
Well.
It's part of the article that they're reading in the Daily Prophet at the beginning, and it's talking about how there's those 2 elders of the Wizengamot that stepped down once Dumbledore lost his post. And there, Madame Griselda Marchbanks, who is a former Wizengamot elder, says in the article, "Hogwarts is a school, not an outpost of Cornelius Fudge's office."
Beautiful.
And it is just so very telling of their interference at Hogwarts, and I just thought it was very well said. So I needed to point that out.
It is the chef's kiss of a quote.
Right.
Well, I have, I guess what will be deemed a monologue in support of my politic. He said, and Harry says, "You don't know what it's like. You, neither of you, you've never had to face him, have you? You think it's just memorizing a bunch of spells and throwing them at him like you're in class or something. The whole time you know there's nothing between you and dying except your own brains or guts or whatever. Like you can think straight when you know you're about a second from being murdered or tortured or watching your friends die. They've never taught us that in their classes. what it's like to deal with things like that. And you two sit there acting like I'm a clever little boy to be standing here alive, like Diggory was stupid, like he messed up. You just don't get it. That could just as easily have been me. It would have been if Voldemort hadn't needed me.
Yeah, I love that entire part. I think that's like part of my chocolate in this chapter, honestly.
I was just gonna bring up the fact that like Harry kind of sums up not just the importance of why like magical education is valuable, but like he also brings up like the true value of the true purpose of education, which is to make applications to the real world to make it a better place. Like it's no longer just about passing the OWL exams, it's about getting rid of Nazis.
Our education system, our education system would be a lot better if they taught us practical things that helped us survive as adults, like, I don't know, financial planning, or in Harry's case, fighting against a Dark Lord who is bent on killing him and all of his friends.
I would also like a class on how to spot fascism 101. So a lot of y'all don't know how to, about 70 million of you.
Around that.
I happen to be on the board of directors of a great organization that does classes like that. If you've heard of the Harry Potter Alliance.
Well, I meant in like the broader public education system, but
I mean, we can make it part, anti-fascism. Overcome.
And then the Republicans are going to be like, Antifa has infiltrated the schools.
Antifa 101. I take it.
Make it a master class. Welcome to my TED Talk.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Who is first for Dementors and Chocolate? Let's see.
Yeah.
It is Adri. Go ahead.
All right,
what is your Dementor?
Let's move on to Dementors and Chocolate as I look at Cleo, who is right in front of my script. All right. So my Dementor is, the middle of the night legislation situation and propaganda that spread through the news about like this whole thing. And the news was trying to be like, quote unquote objective about it, and it was just definitely tilted towards the Ministry of Magic.
It kind of reminded me of like when Trump fired Comey over a tweet.
Oh, for reals. Yes. And that wasn't even like, you know what's wild about that, you guys? That wasn't even the last firing he did via tweet.
Yeah, but it was the first. It was the most memorable.
Yeah, I know, but isn't that wild that like he just fired a ton of people via tweet?
Yeah, it's crazy. He just makes legislation over Twitter. It's fine.
It's fine. Everything is fine. Executive order via Twitter is fine.
Yep.
My Dementor is that Harry should not have been finding out about OWL exams and grading policy the very year he's actually supposed to sit for the exam. I think that this was a glaring oversight into Hogwarts curriculum because outside of a book list and it just imagine finding out about the SAT the year you're supposed to take the SAT.
I mean, I bet they knew what it was, but they probably didn't know how it worked.
I mean, Harry didn't even know what his grade meant.
That's true. Yeah.
I
still don't understand how the SAT scoring works.
Different topic for a different day.
I was like, what is it? 1,200 good? I don't know.
Yeah, different topic for a different day, but the fact that
okay, there she is.
The fact that he has to basically like fly by night about the exam, really he should have been finding out about the OWL exams, I say about at the end of year 2. maybe even the end of year one. But I think that's an educational oversight more than anything.
Yeah, no one said Hogwarts was like the most organized educational institution. I would argue it's pretty bad in the ranking of educational institutions and how it's run.
Well, it's just, they have a monopoly over education, so they don't have to worry that much about
That's true. The closest wizarding school is probably Beauxbaton, honestly.
Exactly. Like, so you're going to ship your kid to France? Like,
It's true. My Dementor was Umbridge, not surprisingly, and I feel like she'll be my Dementor for most of the chapters in this book. But specifically Umbridge using intimidation tactics to bully teachers into fearing for their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So my
Rude.
least favorite, so like my least favorite job was probably my teaching job, and I got so like fired up after one meeting when our principal was like, "You guys should be thankful you have this job. There's so many people out there who don't have a job." This was back in 2009.
H1N1 year.
Yeah, 2009, 2010, that school year. And she was like, like with the recession, everyone's, guys, I was making $20,000 a year in this job. I was making literal pennies. And she was like acting like, like I should, we should all teachers be kissing her feet for this opportunity of making like McDonald's money. A little bit more obviously than McDonald's money. But like, we were also teaching a ton of people. Anyway, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I lost my respect for her at that point. I was like, you know what? I am going to grad school after this teaching year is over. Why? Why do people think intimidation works?
I hate people who try to use intimidation tactics. It's rude.
I also have the +1 for Minerva McGonagall. I stand. She exemplifies
Any particular moment?
Huh?
Any particular moment?
Honestly, her entire lesson reads off as well as really what a sign of a good teacher is. But also too, to kind of extending to that, I also really want to give a shout out to how the students regard Professor Flitwick. We don't see his lesson in the books, but it's kind of like we hear an overview from Fred and George, and it's kind of like, well, he's so good, like nothing bad could happen to him. And also Professor Grubbly Plank, kind of alluding to the fact that the students are only so prepared because Hagrid did the work to make sure that they were prepared for all exams. I see it all the time throughout like podcast commentary and like just fandom commentary that Hagrid was a horrible teacher. But honestly, like he gave real world application for care of magical creatures. Yes, he might have been a little bit overexcited and in trying in regards to like health and safety, but
honestly, yeah. I mean, Grubbly Plank is the real MVP in this chapter for sure.
But one of the main objectives of most teachers is to prepare you for the exam that will prepare you for the rest of your life. Yeah. So if Hagrid did his job in that aspect, then technically he's a great teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just his approach is much more hands-on than many
Yeah, and
people with.
I don't think he doesn't think of like immediate consequences. I think I feel like he forgets that kids are like kids and not half giant adults that are like him and can like handle that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think, I think that he has some attributes of a good teacher. That's for sure. I mean, his students love him, so except for Draco. So, I mean, that says something. My chocolate was Harry's modesty when Hermione and Ron ask him to teach defense against dark arts. And what will soon become Dumbledore's army, but that isn't a thing yet. He truly does not believe that his abilities have helped him survive or get him to where he's at all, and that it was just truly all luck and timing. And a lot of it was, but he does give absolutely no credit to himself for these achievements and accomplishments, which just shows how truly self-effacing and modest he is. Just it's just another reason why I love him. He just like doesn't believe that he is better than anybody else.
Gotta love that.
For sure. I'm definitely a fan. I kind of wish people were calling him stupid. But anyway, last week we posed the following question, especially after this amazing interview we had with none other than Percy himself, Chris Rankin. But what future would you write for Percy after the Battle of Hogwarts?
We had some great responses as always. Love you guys and your responses. So good. I'm going to read a couple of them. One was from Podcast 9 3/4. They said, new history of magic teacher, which I guess if Binns were ever to retire, Percy probably could do. Percy could probably do it. I could see that.
You think Ben could like exercise to his needs to the next life? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I guess he would just be like, oh, I can just continue living as a ghost, but not go and teach my class every day. That's an option. Okay, see ya. I'm gonna go to like Ghost Beach and hang out on the ghost sand and have a ghost margarita. Whatever. Good for you, Binns.
margarita.
I mean, what else do retired ghosts do? I don't know. And then we got another response from 4Rachel, or Rachel with a 4. I still don't know exactly how I'm supposed to say that, so let me know if I'm saying it wrong. She said, or they said, I always imagined that Fred's death hit Percy hard, and he decided to give up all ambition and become more family-oriented. No longer ambitious ministry man. Maybe helping George out with the store once in a while, and having a regular 9-to-5 kind of office job that allows him to spend time with family and appreciate what he has in front of him. I like that one.
I love it.
Yes. And then I think this might have been Kay Alex's favorite. This one is from Geek Detective. And they said, Percy becomes closer to his family, finally acknowledging that he is proud of being loved and cared unconditionally. He continues his political career, but now as champion against corruption in the Ministry of Magic, founding the office in a department of law enforcement. He invests in his brother's shop and creates a program to help magical children explore their alternative real potential for those who don't see themselves as academics and who may have left Hogwarts without finishing their studies. He calls this program the Fred Weasley's Foundation.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I like that too.
It's my absolute favorite. It was Percy like a realistic ending, and it kind of gives him the redemption that we were really looking for with his character.
Yeah, I like that one. Kind of touches your heart a little bit.
Yeah, no, that really teared me up, for reals. Well, those are really great answers to last week's question. For this week, our question is, should Harry have reported Umbridge and her abuse of power and her physical abuse of him, I guess. Why or why not?
Well, we can't wait to hear from you. Like I said,
Looking forward to this. Info at Archaeopolitics. Archaeopolitics@gmail.com. At Archaeopolitics on Twitter and Instagram.
Yes, all of those things. Reach out. We want to hear from you. We'll read your response on next week's episode. And on to media that we've been consuming. I'm first. I'll say I haven't had much time for anything recently, but when I do have time, I have watched a couple of episodes of Bones here and there because I have started to quickly fall in love with that show. I'm in like season 3 right now. And I am also rewatching Angel season 3. So yeah. So 2 David Boreanaz shows, one of Bones and one of Angel. And I've been rewatching Angel season 3 thanks to an Angel podcast that I've started re-listening to and grown to love called Angel on Top, which releases episodes in tandem with my favorite Buffy podcast, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They just got a new host on Angel on Top, LaToya Ferguson. She's amazing. And if you haven't watched Angel or Buffy, I mean, go watch Buffy for sure. But if you haven't watched Angel, I do recommend it, and listen to LaToya's podcast because perfect. Love it.
Perfection. But I also want listeners to know that you enjoy the Bones theme song.
Oh,
very,
yeah.
very much.
Yeah, the Bones theme song is probably one of the all-time best things about that show. I love it so much. It's a very special place in my heart.
And to quote you, to quote Helene, she has said that the Bones theme song, quote, slaps.
Oh, 100. Yeah, it slaps.
I wanted to say that. I wanted people to know that.
Yeah, no, you can write that on my gravestone. Yeah. Helene, 1993 to 2021, because let's say I die next year. And then, loving friend, daughter, and sister. Oh, and she wanted you to know the Bones theme song slaps.
Well, let's not make it your gravestone. Let's make it your Twitter bio.
Okay, that works too.
Same thing, really.
I am currently watching Assassination Classroom, leaning into my teacher motif. It follows the journey of Class 3E as they attempt to assassinate their alien yet awesome teacher, Karasuno Sensei, a yellow technical menace who blew up the moon and threatens to do the same to Earth in a year's time.
Ooh, is this streaming anywhere?
Yep, it's on Hulu.
Oh, have to check this out. Well, thanks to Helene's endless fascination with anything that Rick Riordan has been putting out all these years, as we've been alive, I guess. I've been rereading the Percy Jackson series. In fact, I finished it yesterday.
Ow, you beat me.
5 books. Did you say that you did too?
No, I said you beat me because I haven't finished the 5th book yet, but I have been putting it off because I don't want it to end. So,
but guess what, Helene? I have great news for you.
I know.
Because after the 5th book of Percy Jackson comes 5 more books in a completed series of the Heroes of Olympus, which introduces new characters but also follows Percy and his friends.
Yeah, I actually have all of the Heroes of Olympus books ready to read when I'm done with Percy, but I have heard that Percy isn't even in the 1st book at all. So
he's not, but you know what? To quote you, it slaps.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that.
It actually obviously broadens the universe of Percy Jackson, which is hard to do after such an established series. But they do, like, he does a really good job of it.
I mean, I've started to learn that Rick Riordan is very talented.
Super talented. I am so excited because I've not read the Heroes of Olympus quintet yet, so I'm just kind of like, I didn't quite remember the Percy Jackson series because I read them, long time ago.
Long time ago. I can still
Yeah, we
remember.
used to be friends. That's Veronica Mars for you guys. And I'm just really excited to get into this new series.
Me too.
I read the first book today.
You finished it?
Yes.
Oh my God, girl.
I have no self.
It's crazy.
Also, I'm on like a mini vacation. So what are you supposed to do?
Talking to your husband?
He's also reading. We're just both nerds. Like whatever. Like our wedding invitation, like a library. Like it looked like a library. Like flip that goes up. You know when you check out a book.
Yes.
But in the paper days, not the digital age. Because we're olds. Anyhow.
Yes. Let's move on.
Yeah, this is sufficiently awkward. Okay. And now that I've made it awkward for everyone involved, that's it for today's episode. Join us next week to talk about chapter 16. We're moving on from chapter 15, which took us like 3 weeks to record, of Order of the Phoenix. And it's titled In the Hog's Head.
Yes, you can find us online everywhere at Acchiopolitics and at acchiopolitics.com. You can support our podcast by becoming a patron and getting physical goodies every 3 months for $5 a month at patreon.com/acchiopolitics.
Leave us a voicemail at 915-996-1699 with all your burning thoughts and questions. And if you're feeling shy, you can email us at info@acchiopolitics.com.
Until then, politics managed. Keep safe and keep faith. Good night. Helene, does this also slap?
This does, yes. It's not like Bones' theme song level slapitude, but
I mean, we have budget constraints, okay?
yeah. Like if our theme song was just the Bones theme song, then that would slap for sure.
But also, copyright violation.
Yeah, well, fine.